Yo, 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 what's up, all you burners, stoners, and potheads from around the globe? This is WEEDMAN420 with the WEEDMAN420 Chronicles. How's all my stoners, potheads, and burners, and all the ships at sea doing today? Mrs. Weedman, how you doing?
Doing well. We had to shovel our way out of the world today.
Oh, man, did we shovel some snow.
Yeah, we did.
We had some great neighbors, though. Let us use their snowblower.
Yeah.
That was pretty nice.
Great.
It made it a world difference.
Fluffy snow.
Yes, on top of the snow that we already had. I think we're about like 3 feet, 2 feet.
I'd say definitely two.
Two of beautiful white snow for right now in Illinois until from about 2 weeks from now when it starts getting slushy and black from all of the CO2 carbon monoxide that comes out of cars. But it's pretty right now, and I'm enjoying looking at it. So, but hopefully you're all doing well. Hopefully you're staying warm out there. Hopefully your power's back on. If you lost power, we're praying for you. If you lost power and your homes are safe and your families are safe and everybody's doing okay. Hey, we were watching a show before we started recording. It's a show we watch on Tuesday nights called Blackish. We love that show. It's a great family show. Tonight's episode, though, they talked about cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
They caught the son smoking cannabis. And the dad was very upset about it. And then the mom and him wind up smoking a little bit, and he got a little paranoid on it. But it was what I enjoyed about watching that whole entire thing was the family talking about cannabis to their older son, and the mom and the dad talking about it and bringing it together. As we've talked about in prior episodes, talk about it with your kids. If your kids are smoking it, smoke it with them. Nope, just kidding. But you know, talk about it. Be open with them. And it was a very great episode. That's Blackish, talking about cannabis, talking about nonviolent cannabis crimes, African Americans going to jail more than Caucasians. So it was a good episode. For what I liked about it was mainstream, talking about cannabis on a family program and being positive about it in a lot of ways.
Well, that show is just generally very it's a really nice show to watch. The family dynamic is really nice. They deal with really normal, everyday, common situations that happen in a household with, teenagers and young kids. And then both parents having careers, but then they get into some pretty deep topics, and they always kind of set it straight, and they get into talks about race and religion and obviously drugs and things, and they just it's just a nice platform and a nice way that they present information, and it's a
great show. We
good.
like it.
Yeah.
So, but I really liked it. It was a mainstream show on 8 o'clock TV that was talking about cannabis out in the open, which when we were growing up, it was always about being bad that you're smoking cannabis.
Right.
This was a positive. And what I liked, especially at the end, they were talking about playing 2K, the dad and the son, and the son goes, I got to head out to the garage. And the dad goes, oh, let me go with you and check that blind spot on the camera with you. So they were going out to smoke together at the end. So great special show.
But it was the son and the grandma talked about cannabis. Yes. The parents talked about cannabis together. Then the dad and the son talked about cannabis together. So it's just cool. It's cool.
It was a good episode to watch before we started the show. So it was great. But we're going to smoke, and we're smoking our own homegrown again. We're smoking.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah. This is the WEEDMAN420 experiment, the second round, and this has been curing for 6 weeks now, and we smoked some last night to see how it was after 6 weeks of curing, and it's fire.
I hit the bed, and that was it.
That was it.
Night. Nighty-night.
The kind of cannabis Mrs. Weedman loves to smoke. So she's going to burn while I talk about a little bit of that I didn't know, that black and brown people have spent 1 million years in prison for cannabis. 1 million years. And this was an article about adaptation. It's an exceptional story. They talk about it. Mrs. Weedman's a little bit too hard, as always. Good nighty night, sweet princess.
Did you just clean this?
Nope.
Bowl?
No.
Holy schmoly. Sorry.
Oh, good lordy.
I'll be okay.
She'll be okay in a minute.
I'll
Take
be
a sip.
right.
Take a sip of wine. Do a cannonball. Cannonball.
What's that?
You take a big rip, and then you do a sip of some cheap wine.
Yeah.
You don't remember Caddyshack with Bill Murray and Chevy Chase.
I do very much remember that, but I don't remember that specific scene. So
Cannonball.
you exhale your smoke and then you do a.
Oh no, you keep the smoke inside.
Oh shit!
And you drink.
And then you drink.
You drink some wine
How
out
do
of
you
the
not
bottle.
choke? I'd be choking even more.
Professional. Bill
Cannonball.
Murray.
I'm not a professional
cannabis smoker.
Goals.
So anyway, in Los Angeles, 3 cannabis advocates and business leaders focus on advancing equality, increasing the participation of Black and Latino people in the cannabis space. Black and brown people harmed by the war on drugs have spent over 1 million years in prison for cannabis-related offenses. As Nadaya from Camp Nova puts it, 1 million years. This being why co-founders of the tech company Camp Nova, Marvin Wilker and Emery Morrison, decried the racial profiling and cannabis criminalization continuing to impact their community and the industry. This was a quote by him. The diversity, equality, and equity of cannabis space has to be questioned, Morrison said. Too many people are still in jail for weed. A system set up for failure. The systematic racial profiling and cannabis criminalization of generations of African Americans and Latino X is merely the tip of the iceberg. Often for those whose lives have been subverted by cannabis charges, no home waiting for them when they get out of jail. That's sad. The long-term effects of cannabis criminalization confronts denied public housing, student financial aid, employment opportunities, and child custody, according to a report by the American Civil Liberties Union. Arrests are still happening. Cannabis arrests are still happening widespread across the U.S., and while thousands remain in prison for cannabis-related offenses, the green rush is underway with a number of cannabis businesses owners already generating revenues in the millions. Wiltshire estimates the cannabis industry will turn into a conglomerate with a financial impact of over $100 billion annually. Billion, he said. Another quote by him. Without early capture of businesses in the space now, Wilker said, hundreds of thousands of job opportunities for our communities will be missed. In his cannabis financial restitution plan, Wilco proposes $25 billion be invested into reserve fund for over a period of 5 years to be invested in African-American and minority-owned cannabis businesses throughout the country. Wilker is said to release details of his cannabis financial restitution plan later this month. So that's Camp Nova. It's an e-commerce technology marketing platform developed by experienced cannabis entrepreneurs. So good article, good read. I didn't know 1 million years in prison. That's according to this article and according to him. But hopefully, like we've talked about in the past, we can get more people out of for minor cannabis crimes and nonviolent cannabis acts. And that's why we always talk about this at the beginning of every show. So good luck there, Mr. Wilker, and hopefully that you can provide some money for people to start their own businesses and get them into the cannabis game. I'm going to smoke real quick. Mrs. Weedman's going to talk for like 30 seconds. She's going to say hello to everybody. Pass me over that bowl, Mrs. Weedman, please.
Good luck. Don't pull on that as hard as I did. Whew, that stuff was crazy. Hey, and I don't know if any of you are aware, but they make all different sorts of string for smoking from. Okay, so you want to light your bowl. And if you light your bowl with a regular butane lighter, you're inhaling some minute quantity of butane, and that's not good for you, right? You're already smoking. That's not great for you. And now you're putting butane as well. So anyway, we have this like super cool stuff. It's a ball of hemp string, thin string, and it's coated in beeswax.
Yeah.
So, and then we have this really cool little lighter contraption, and it holds a little of the string on there. So then you light the string, let it burn for a second, and then any little residue of butane is gone, and then you're using this as your lighter for your bowl or your joint.
Yeah.
Yeah, super clean.
Yeah, it's great. We've been using it for like over a year now. Yeah. We love it.
And I don't think that there's necessarily a particular brand.
No, you can get
anywhere.
Yeah, any hemp. But
Head
cheers.
Shop online. Cheers. We are drinking
a Chardonnay.
Very fancy.
You said earlier it looked like pee.
Yeah, it looks like a glass of urine. We ended last episode on that note, and here I am having a beverage that looks like
tastes good though.
Pee.
A little fruity. It's fruity.
Yeah, it's a little sweet.
I like it. It's not bad. It won't give me cotton mouth.
Well, that's good.
Article I don't like to read, and I've talked about this with a lot of people. I'm not a big fan of big tobacco firms trying to get into cannabis, and Altera hires lobbyists for cannabis policy. Altera Group, the big tobacco firm behind Marlboro cigarettes, has registered a lobby on cannabis policy. It's beginning, folks, because they're waiting with the strings from above, waiting for federal legalization. Big tobacco firm, Altera Group, whose brands include Marlboro, Copenhagen, Skoal, and Black and Mild. I do like a good Black and Mild every now and then.
I loved Marlboros.
Yes.
I was a Marlboro Light smoker.
Yeah, you were.
And then I was a Marlboro Menthol for a minute.
Ugh.
And then I went to the Turkish Gold.
Those are good.
Those were smooth.
Yeah, you got me hooked
right?
on those for a minute.
And that
when
was
we
my
smoked.
thing. Look at how and I don't know if you remember, but there was a period of time where you kept the little UPC code from your package of cigarettes.
Oh, my gosh.
And each UPC code was X amount of points. And then you went online and you registered, you like mailed in all of these little tabs. And then you'd accumulate enough money.
We had all the luggage.
I proudly carried my big freaking. It was a beautiful bag. It was so well made.
Nice.
It was this gigantic, like 4-day trip kind of bag, duffel bag, and it was red canvas, and it had Marlboro branding all over it. And the only way you got that was by smoking a lot. Oh my God!
We're not advocating smoking cigarettes on this show.
I'm just saying that. What I'm saying is.
No, I know. I'm just saying.
I was so proud to carry that
Yes,
bag.
yes.
And oh my God.
All the
what did it
cigarettes-
say? It said that I'm a glutton for a smoke.
Yes.
Like, I have got a problem.
We're not advocating cigarette smoking on this show at all. This is back when
I'm just so happy I
Mrs.
quit.
Weedman and Mr. Weedman's younger years when we smoked cigarettes.
Oh my gosh.
And
A lot.
yes, you had to smoke a
I
lot of
grew
cigarettes.
up in smoking households, so it's like. Whoo-wee.
According to the disclosure documents filed last month, the firm retained.
Sorry.
That's okay.
That was a big sidetrack.
William Mullins, Elizabeth Rafferty to lobby on issues related to responsible and equitable regulations of cannabis sales in Virginia. Last year, the company also hired Denver, Colorado-based Brownstein, Hyatt, Faber, Schreck. That's a really long name. One of the nation's top cannabis and hemp law firms to lobby Congress on federal policies related to CBD and non-tobacco excise taxes, according to filings outlined by Forbes. So far, Altera has paid $30,000 to lobby the House and $50,000 to lobby the Senate on cannabis tax and CBD issues, the filings show. The state filing was first reported by Cannabis Wire. Altera is an investor in Canadian licensed producer Kronos Group, which infused $1.8 billion into it in 2018, giving it a 45% stake in the company. The strings, I keep on saying it, the strings. Altera spokesman George Parman told Cannabis Wire that the company plans to work with policymakers and regulators to support of a transparent, responsible, and equitable operating environment for the sale of cannabis. Really? Okay. Despite the filings more than a month ago, neither the company nor the lobby group representative appeared during the public hearings on the recent legalization debate that ultimately led to the House and Senate each passing a broad reform bill, according to the Virginia Mercury. Those bills are headed to a conference committee, which will come up with a compromise bill that you would need to be approved by both chambers before moving to a Democratic Governor Ralph Northam for his signature. It begins, folks. It begins. And what I mean by that is when you're going to let companies like that come in to something that's pure, something that's good, something that's used as medicine, and it's to them all about profit and control. They control. You can't get a tobacco leaf or a seed to grow your own tobacco in the United States.
You can't?
I don't think you can. You could probably order it overseas, but I don't think you can. They control the tobacco industry. Now, you could probably get tobacco leaf to make, cigars with and stuff like that, or cigar seeds, but I don't think you can get tobacco leaf. So that's...
Whoa. Could you imagine if
seed.
that was cannabis?
Right.
Like if it got to
that's
that
what
point?
That's what I'm saying. That's crazy.
Wow. So they need to create these laws to protect it.
You'll talk about the black market going crazy again. People just grow it in their houses like crazy and order seeds from everywhere else and just hoard stock them. And then just people now can learn how to clone. They're never going to stop it. You can clone. You can make your own seeds, male and female plant, do their thing, cross pollinate, and you have your own seeds. Not that simple, but kind of. But be wary of where your cannabis is going to come from in the next 10 years. Because even though it might have somebody's label on it, they have the manufacturing plants to grow people's cannabis. So you need to be careful. Just know your shit. Grow your own smoke and free this fucking plant. Since Mrs. Weedman smoked her weed wrong earlier, she's going to tell you why you might be buying your weed wrong.
Yeah, I really did have much too big of a hit there. But here we go. Like, what do we talk about all the time? THC, right? THC. It's kind of a commonality. You talk to people about CBD, and they know what you're talking about. And you say THC, and they mostly know what you're talking about, right? Like, they're terms, they're common. Well, when you buy your cannabis, basically everybody asks for, I want a high THC. That's all I think about, like high THC, or I want like nothing. I just want a CBD. And basically, the consumers are wreaking havoc on growers because of that. Imagine ordering a beer that's labeled to have 6% ABV and getting served a drink that's anywhere from 2 to 12%. Could you imagine that? Oh my God. Well, like whiskey, vodka, anything like that. Imagine if the ABV had a variable.
Right.
Wow. When you're buying your cannabis, there can be that much variability in THC. So cannabis consumers have been taught to buy their weed wrong, really. I mean, high taxes push many dispensary customers to search for the best bang for their buck. And due to the prominence of THC on cannabis labeling, consumers often use it as their sole indicator of cannabis quality. High THC and a low price point is considered the holy grail. Cannabis consumers, sorry, I just lost my spot.
That's okay.
Wow.
Keep on going.
I'm going to keep on going.
That's
okay.
it.
So in reality, though, THC is far from the only indicator of good cannabis. It doesn't determine the type of experience one has when they ingest a cannabis product, and due to industry pressure and a lack of standardization, THC percentages are far from an exact science. I don't look at the THC percentage when I'm choosing the cannabis that I like to smoke, says Alan Hackett, co-founder of the MD Numbers family of brands. It's much more about strains that have characteristics and a terpene profile that I personally like. In order to be able to buy a product and achieve a desired result, customers need to know a lot more about how to read about THC. Until consumers have that education, THC percentages will continue to drive market trends in a way that disadvantages both customers and operators. If you shopped at a California dispensary lately, you've probably seen the term full spectrum printed on edibles, topicals, and tincture products. Full spectrum refers to a product that contains the full profile of chemical compounds that grow within the cannabis plant. However, many products are made with isolated THC, CBD, or other compounds. Sometimes, especially in specific medicinal contexts, it can be preferable to hand select only a couple of cannabinoids to consume. But in the vast majority of cases, users get close to the experience they want with a full spectrum product. It's the other components of this full spectrum that can make a 10 milligram indica gummy feel differently than a 10 milligram sativa gummy, for example. All of these chemical compounds act synergistically within the body to give various strains their unique effects. Cannabinoids are the components of the spectrum most consumers are familiar with. THC is a cannabinoid. CBD is also a well-understood and heavily marketed cannabinoid, known for decreasing anxiety and dulling pain. It may even combat seizures and symptoms of schizophrenia. CBN, the chemical THC turns into when it degrades over time, has a subtle sedative effect and may help regulate sleep cycles. THCV is being studied as a possible aid for type 2 diabetes and epilepsy-related seizures. These are just a few forms of the many, many, many cannabinoids, some of which even experts know very little about. Even cannabis bought for recreational purposes has a variety of cannabinoids, and the ratios between them impact how the user feels. If you've heard the phrase, the nose knows, from a bud tender or friend, they're not kidding. Terpenes are responsible for cannabis's signature smell, and over time...
Are you Toucan Sam?
Toucan Sam?
Follow your nose. It always knows. Fruit Loops.
Over time, users can train their nose to recognize the different smells between cannabis strains, like an alcohol consumer might do with wine. Terpenes are found in the essential oils of all cannabis plants, and they have psychoactive effects we're all familiar with. If you've ever felt awakened by the smell of lemon, for example, that might have to do with the fact that you smell limonene.
Lemon pledge.
Limonene. A terpene also found in energy-inducing and mood-lifting strains like Tangy or Jack Herer. Cannabis is gray and nuanced, so you have to lean into it, spend some time with it, says longtime cannabis activist and industry pioneer Andrew D'Angelo. A lot of consumers need shortcuts, and for them, that's THC. That being said, a better shortcut might be just asking your bud tender.
But here, can I stop you for
Yeah.
1 second?
Yeah.
So this is even now newer because 6 months ago, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, probably the last 5 years, people would just come in, or the bud tender would just say, would you like a sativa or indica?
Right.
Now what you've learned, they're talking about now just people coming in and what the THC percentage is.
Right. And so then all the marketing
What's the highest
drives
THC
that. And people think
percentage?
that if it's under 20, it's like garbage.
Right.
Right.
I've said this before. I've gotten high out for 14% THC to 32% THC.
Right.
36. I smoked 36% THC flower. And like I said, and I'll say it again, I was high, just as high in the 14 as I was on the 36.
Right.
Just different types of high. You know?
Right. Well, that's the thing. What they're saying, and I think it goes into this in the article, so I won't repeat myself if that does come up, but they talked about, yes, it went from being indica sativa to now being THC. You just go in and ask, I want high THC, high.
Right.
I don't care about anything else. Are you looking to sleep? No, I just want high THC. That's
Just
the
get
best.
me
Yeah.
baked.
Well, but now they're saying the habit should go more toward, because when you go to a dispensary, those bud tenders are supposed to be super informed and trained on the product that they carry.
They've gotten a lot better.
Right. So they're saying the better process is to say, hey, I am looking for something that's going to make me feel a little silly, but clear-headed. I want my body to feel energetic, and I don't care if I get the munchies. And then the bud tender's like, I got exactly what you need. So you don't care what the THC level is. You don't care what, the terpenes are. You just want to know what the feeling is.
The effects, right? Or the feeling.
And that's how you should be shopping for it.
Yeah.
And then
That's what I ask now.
Yeah, they feel
what's
like
the
they would
effects
get-
more?
Yeah,
I've been
they
doing
get
that
better
lately.
results for people.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and then, maybe that doesn't work. So then you record and you keep notes on that strain. Like, hey, bought the Jack Herrera. Wasn't quite right for me. It made me feel this way, that way, that way. Like, journal your usage until you get familiar with what works for your body.
Yeah, and that's why we've said this about Kush strains and berry strains work well for our body, and we like it. No matter, I've smoked the 29% berry strain, and I've smoked a 19% Kush strain, and they both do well for me,
Right.
and I'm pretty high on both of them. Maybe not always euphoric high, which I like at night, that euphoric high where I'm just floating, but they've got me pretty baked.
Yeah.
Like baked. So I don't know. It's just really weird to see them doing from, you want a sativa or indica, because people made that feel like,
Right.
oh, indica makes you sleep, sativa makes you wild or uppity.
Right. So that it's all interesting, right? And then to top it off, so basically there's another factor that is severely underestimated, according to this article, and that's bioavailability.
Ooh.
So this gets a little deeper. So now they're saying like THC is important. It's a major player in what makes up your cannabis, but your approach shouldn't be high THC. Your approach should be, what are the effects that you're looking for?
I love it.
Right?
Yeah.
And maybe on Monday through Friday, it's different than what you want for Saturday. And, it might be different for different atmospheres that you're in, or different feelings that you're having, or whatever. Different ailments, social, chill, all those things. So that's super cool. But now what about bioavailability? So depending on how cannabis is ingested, varying amounts of cannabinoids and terpenes are absorbed into your bloodstream. For example, when smoked, THC has an average of 30% bioavailability, meaning that only about 1/3 of the THC in the product is received into the body. That's when you smoke.
Yeah.
THC absorbed sublingually, so in a drop concentrate under your tongue. It's generally absorbed more efficiently into the bloodstream than consumed orally, like meaning you chew something.
Yeah.
Oh no,
it.
maybe more of like a tincture.
Well, that's sublingual.
That's
so,
sublingual.
Yeah.
Okay, so then maybe an edible.
Yeah. An edible or what would smoking be? Would that be that's orally also, isn't it? You're ingesting it through your mouth, through your lungs.
Not really through your mouth though.
Okay.
I don't know. Anyway, so Sublingually is generally absorbed more efficiently into your bloodstream than consumed orally, though there is variability depending on the oil and how it's administered. So lots of variables. Edibles might have the most variability of all. The compounds in different edibles have different bioavailability depending on the style of manufacturing. So that's even plays into it. So with liquor or beer, you have an alcohol percentage, and that's actually pretty consistent because alcohol is water soluble, says Dr. Harold Hahn, CSO and founder of the company Vertosa. At Vertosa, Hahn has used his chemistry know-how to engineer cannabinoids that are water soluble, allowing him to partner with a beverage producer to create infused cannabis beverages with a quick onset, like booze. A consumer that drinks a 10 milligram Vertosa beverage will feel the effects much more than they will do with a 10 milligram gummy because there's a higher relative bioavailability. The milligrams on the label just tell you on paper how many there are, but not the bioavailability of those milligrams to your body. That's super interesting. Given all this, it's ridiculous to think that prices would be determined by THC percentage. But for many cannabis cultivators who sell to edible and concentrate manufacturers, the THC percentage of their crop can make or break them. According to Alan Hackett, his trim, or the excess leaves of the small buds that manufacturers use to make extracts from, sells at about $10 per percentage point per pound. That means a 12% THC batch of trim sells for $120 a pound, while a 6% batch will only sell for $60. If you get something tested at the lab and it's 10%, it's great, he says.
That's interesting.
Yeah. But if your trim is getting tested at 6%, you might want to go back a few times to get it tested because you want more accurate results. They're not the results you want.
Right.
So you're going to keep testing until you get what you're
Yeah,
looking
because
for.
I mean, we use our trim and our sugar leaf for edibles. That's what we make our butter with.
Right. So for many reasons like this, many cannabis growers lab shop. They test their cannabis at multiple labs until they get the results they want. So that plays into accuracy, doesn't it?
Huh.
This, in turn, puts pressure on labs to yield higher numbers. Sometimes it's the heartbreaker. When they're hoping for 20%, we give them 19.5, says Chen from Sonoma LabWorks. But that is something that we're both ethically obligated and regulatory obligated to provide accurately. Totally. Other labs have come under fire in the past for fraudulent testing, something every source consulted for this article said was likely encouraged by intense market pressure. Consumers' obsession with THC determines what products actually sell at dispensaries, and that can create massive headaches for cultivators. If you're a casual consumer looking for a low-dose smoke, this is probably why you aren't finding many options. Interesting. Most consumers simply think cannabis below 20% is a waste of money, not seeing the mistake that they're making. And most growers want to grow cannabis that appeals to the masses. So it's pretty neat. Just all the changes. I mean, I can go on and on. This goes on, but it just is reiterating. It's all, yeah.
A lot of stuff we've talked about. A couple of people we've had on the show. But plus, now that states are charging for THC percentage, they want the higher stuff, of course, probably in the dispensaries also because they're making more tax dollars on that.
Right.
So it's about THC to the cultivator. It's about THC to the dispensary.
Right.
It's about THC to the government because that's what they're regularly basing everything on. Mm-hmm. I was in the state of Nevada, and so were you, and they now put not only just the THC content on there or CBD content, they also put the terpenes on there and the terpene percentage.
On the packaging?
On the packaging, too. And I've only seen a few.
Even smokables?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was on edibles, it was on pre-rolls, and it was on the bag of flour. And I've seen some cultivators in Illinois do it, not many, but this was labeled from the dispensary. It was their labels on it, their state labels. So it was different. I've never seen something like that before. I thought it was cool to see it on everything, so I knew exactly what I was getting. And the bud tenders there spoke terpenes. I'm like, hey, I'm looking for something to sleep at night. He goes, he didn't even mention THC content at first. He goes, so you want something with some myrcene in there? And I'm like, oh yeah, that helps me go to sleep. I read about that. I was playing kind of like I didn't know anything. I just wanted to see. I wanted him to sell me and teach me, and I thought it was pretty cool that they had it listed on there on every product, so you know exactly what you're getting if you're looking for the effects and you know about terpenes. I got a cool email today from a woman, Paula, and she just said to me, she goes, I'm an old-time stoner. I just like to get high. I'm like, that's awesome. She also likes Van Halen, and she liked REO Speedwagon. So, Paula, thank you. Oh, and Journey, too. So, but no, it's cool to see that there's more and more research and more articles coming out about this. Because we've been talking about it on the show forever, you know? So, more than $205.4 million in cannabis taxes collected in Illinois as nonprofits received their first round of grants. You were talking about this to me on that article that you read from the paper. $31 million from adult use cannabis taxes is going to nonprofits in Illinois as part of the Restore, Reinvest, and Renew, or R3 program, and it's not all going to Chicago. So that's cool. I said, cannabis sales for January near 90 million. Since adult use sales began in January 2020, nearly 757.9 million in cannabis sales has been sold. The taxes on that can be more than 40%, depending on the potency.
There it
THC
is.
content.
Yep.
So, as we say, the government now is basing everything off of THC content. So they make more monies. 20-year-old Kansas lawmaker files drug decriminalization bill in Kansas. Way to go. A 20-year-old Kansas lawmaker introduced a bill on Tuesday to broadly decriminalize drug possession in the state. Representative Aaron Coleman, who defeated a 7-term incumbent in a Democratic primary last year, filed the legalization. Good for you, Aaron. Get it approved and get it decriminalized over there in Kansas, and then you're on your way to the party, baby. Way to go. Medical cannabis has board support in North Carolina. Elon poll finds. Will that lead to action? Well, they're doing hemp. A large majority of North Carolinians, including nearly 2/3 of the Republicans, would support the legalization of medical cannabis, a new poll has found. It was done by Elon University, and it was published about a week ago. The 54% support of full legalization is not as widespread as the 73% support for more limited medical cannabis legalization. So good for you, hopefully, in this poll, and you get more and more and get the guns a-blazing in North Carolina. You read that about that woman growing hemp in North Carolina.
Yeah.
She was badass. Here's a good one. Our friends to the north, Governor Evers proposes legalizing cannabis in Wisconsin.
Cool.
Go Badgers.
You can get good beer, good cheese, and good bud.
Good weed. Love it. Cheers to you, Wisconsin.
Nice.
We like visiting your state, and let's go and get it all done. But I also read Milwaukee, too, because Wisconsin just did it. Madison just did it. They decriminalized it in just that city, and now Milwaukee's going to do it, too. So this is all the stepping stones. So Rhode Island cannabis legalization bill to be filed this month, Senate leader says. So full legalization. Let's go, baby. Take a sip of my wine.
Okay, I will too.
Cheers. Colorado has sold about $10 billion worth of cannabis since start.
Wow.
Businesses in Colorado have sold about $10 billion of cannabis since the plant was legalized for recreational use in 2014, according to new data released by the State Department of Revenue. The figures released Tuesday indicated that cannabis sales in 2020 had hit an all-time high for 1 year with $2.19 billion, up from $1.75 billion in 2019. $10 billion.
It would be really cool if they could track the data and see how many actual different customers purchased.
They do. They have
and
that.
what the average purchase was.
I know in Illinois they do that because you have to give your driver's license when you're
Right.
rec.
But do they make that data public?
Yeah, I think you can
I
probably
think
go
it would
on.
be interesting.
You could possibly maybe find out just how many people went into each store or went in and bought.
Right.
You probably can't look at their names.
No, I don't want that.
But
I
you
just
can-
mean
you
numbers.
could probably go
statistics.
to Illinois' website, illinois.gov, and look at those numbers up. You can look at the sale numbers. They show
Right.
it on there. The medical
Right.
cannabis program will show you the sales numbers. So, but a lot of dough $10 billion. One state would only, I think Colorado's only got like, 6 million people or 8 million people, and they've done 10 billion.
A lot of visitors.
Crazy, yep. The Minnesota House Commerce, Finance, and Policy Committee.
Or everybody's just high there.
It's a great state. It smells like weed everywhere you walk. The Minnesota House Commerce, Finance, and Policy Committee scheduled the first hearing on cannabis legalization bill sponsored by Majority Leader and Speaker for Wednesday. A former prosecutor, I've seen firsthand the amount of resources the state expands on current cannabis restrictions. The chairman of the committee said, "Good for you, Minnesota. You're medical. It's hard to get a medical card, I think, up there. And get it rec, will you?" Cannabis concentrates on the rise across the industry. Percent change has been huge. In 2019, it was 567 million and grew to 797 million in 2020. That's pretty big.
Yeah.
That's a little dab will do you. You know? So, good for concentrates. Not my thing. I've tried them. So, we've talked about our furry friends, our dogs, how much we love them. You know, we lost our dog Maxie a few years ago. We loved her to death. You know, she was great. We all know we love our furry friends. But Mrs. Weedman is going to talk to you about, like, how cannabis can make dogs a little less aggressive. Like,
yeah. Well, first of all, on the note of Maxie, she was, like, everybody thinks their dog is the best dog. But, like, she was our best dog.
yes.
Like, there will be, if we ever have a dog again, every dog will be compared to Maxie because she was just super duper. And our bird, who is, like, going on 4, was, like, just 1 when Maxie passed away.
They were best friends.
And I can still say, "Hey, Vega, do you want to see Maxie?" And I'll say, "Maxie, Maxie." The bird will say that, and I'll put a little video on of Maxie, and the bird gets all wild up, like his feathers get all fluffed. It's super cute. So she was a good dog.
She was a good dog.
So we all can relate, right? Like, whether you're a cat person, a dog person, maybe you're not a pet person, I don't know. But for those of you who are, we all want our furry friends to be happy, right? And we will bend over backwards to make that happen. And unfortunately, there's dogs who never have that experience. They're abused. They're left in shelters. And there is a new study that was published, and they found that cannabis extract, CBD, hugely reduced aggressive behavior towards humans in shelter dogs. So that's super huge because these poor dogs, a lot of the times they just need to have affection, but they're so fearful of affection because it's never been good. Like, the touch of a human has been abusive.
Yep.
So they have to be retrained to understand that the human person can be good to them. And so if something can take that edge off to get them to calm a little bit, that would just be, I suppose, life-changing for what happens in these shelters. So this research was published in Nature's Scientific Reports, and they suggest that CBD could be beneficial for dogs who spend their lives holed up in kennels after being rescued from the streets or abusive owners. Our results clearly suggest that CBD treatment might be effectively used to improve welfare in dogs housed in a shelter, said the author of the study. If CBD treatment causes a reduction in the aggressive behavior of the dogs, this effect, in turn, might improve the relationship between dogs and the staff at the kennel. CBD works on the body's endocannabinoid system, a master regulator involved with all kinds of biological processes, especially the immune and nervous system. Like many animals, dogs also have an endocannabinoid system. So in theory, a drug like CBD that can reduce anxiety in humans may do the same in canines. To test this theory, researchers used 24 dogs at Muratella, the municipal dog shelter in Rome, Italy. They selected dogs that exhibited certain negative behaviors, such as eating feces, licking cage walls, destroying objects, or self-injuring. Other aggressive behaviors included growling, raised fur, bared teeth, and attacking the bars of a cage. Finding dogs that fit this criteria wasn't difficult. Out of the 400 dogs at the shelter, the researchers reported 90% exhibited some kind of stress. For the next 45 days, 12 dogs were given meat containing extra virgin olive oil mixed with CBD, while another dozen were given a placebo. Both well tolerated this diet. Aggressive behavior in the CBD group dropped significantly, although it didn't seem to have as much impact on other stressful behaviors such as excessive scratching. The CBD didn't make the dogs drowsy or any less active, so the reduction in aggression likely isn't due to the dogs being sedated. The study comes in the wake of a rising trend of people giving CBD to their pet dogs to help with problems such as pain and anxiety. Last month, America's most famous homemaker, Martha Stewart, who was known as M. Diddy while she was in jail, she launched her very own line of gourmet CBD dog treats. Even before science catches up, companies like Canopy Growth, one of the world's largest cannabis corporations, is rolling out bacon-flavored tinctures for dogs. Bacon. Giving dogs CBD has been studied since at least the 1980s, but there's still a lot we don't know about the drug in humans, let alone in animals. Until now, the trend of giving weed extract to dogs has been largely based on anecdotal reports that it can soothe their anxiety from things like fireworks or temper attachment disorders. While some people have revealed their terminally ill pets have been helped by CBD, others are less convinced about the extract's use for dogs. Alicia McCarty, a dog rescuer for about a decade, says she has tried multitudes of brands and hasn't noticed any difference. I know 99% of people swear by CBD, but I do not, McCarty said. I've been an animal rescuer for many years, focusing on giant breeds. I was really hopeful that CBD would be helpful with the magnitude of joint issues they all have, and it didn't do anything. Unfortunately, I had to keep them on traditional medicines. My English Mastiff, who had extreme anxiety and horrible arthritis and dysplasia, got even more aggressive as his pain got worse. The CBD didn't change a thing. The study authors called for more research with a larger sample size. This would be certainly valuable because the potential for improving the welfare of dogs in shelters is priceless. So, yeah, keep on testing.
So, what do you think for St. Bernard? I mean, how much CBD should that dog be taking then? I know.
Yeah, maybe she wasn't giving them enough.
Right.
Or
so, I mean, it doesn't work for everybody.
Who knows? Right.
You know, I've tried just straight CBD, and what I've learned that you need a little bit of a THC kicker to start it. I straight CBD I've never felt anything, but maybe it was doing stuff for inflammation. I don't know. But when I mix a CBD with some THC or 1-to-1 or 4-to-1, it does work on me. So maybe she wasn't giving. I'm not saying don't give your dog THC. I'm just saying though, maybe not giving it a bigger dose, because it is working in some dogs.
Right. From
what you were reading and what we've learned, because we've talked about CBD with dogs a couple times. So, but just more research as we're finding every time I find something like that to talk about, I give it to Mrs. Weedman now because she loves her furry friends. But yes, we're finding out more and more. It is helping some dogs. It could be dosage because of how big they are. I mean, a Mastiff, St. Bernard, a Marmaduke, Great Dane. Those dogs are bigger than people, So,
well, and it also doesn't say, although she's been a dog rescuer and trainer for years and years, it doesn't mention how many animals she gave it to. She just made reference to her Mastiff. It didn't help him. And she said that she had to keep all of them on medicine. But, I mean, if she tried it on 5 dogs, you don't know the duration of it. Like, there's a lot of details that we don't know.
She might have just gave it a little drop.
Maybe she just didn't give it enough time.
Right.
So, and I wonder, like I always say, like what I find with cannabis in terms of pain, I never get the feeling like it's taken my headache away or my back. Like if I have a back spasm, it's not taking that away, but it's relaxing my body in a way that I'm not thinking about it.
Right.
So does it? I think, and that goes with so much of cannabis is just getting familiar with how you feel on it. Like, don't give up on it. It's a process.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you have to get used to.
I mean, there's some
what
people.
Strains do to you. Or
there's some
how
people
much you take
that get paranoid still. Right. I did for a long time.
Right.
I got paranoid from times, and just like I said, when you get a little paranoid, it could be your mind. The cannabis is trying to help your mind figure some shit out. But I always thought it was straight up paranoia. But I mean, it just depends on the dosage. If you're not used to something, if it's too high of a strain, if it's got maybe something in your endocannabinoid system didn't work with that terpene, You just got to learn and feel the effects. Try some different strains. Have fun. Have a
Right.
party like confetti.
And
Woo!
yeah, but then as far as like CBD, like we just kind of generalize CBD, and I mean, we know there's better quality and worse quality,
Yes.
but it's generalized. It's just CBD, right?
Right.
And maybe there's a point where it doesn't, like you're saying, like it has to do with weight. Maybe these are larger animals; they
Yeah.
need more of it. I don't know, or she's just not looking for the right signals to show that it is helping the
Right.
animals. So who knows? Keep
Interesting
studying.
though. Yeah.
What is it? What we always end up saying? We need more research.
Yep. 100%. International news: green gold in the Dominican Republic because of tourism is down. They're seeing that hemp could be very lucrative and help their country, and they're gonna call it the green is the color of hope, prosperity, in the future, and green is the color of cannabis sativa L, better known as hemp. Hemp is one of the fastest growing plants and was one of the first plants to be spun into usable fiber. So it looks like Dominican Republic is going to try hemp farming and for clean energy and to import and export and help that country out. Good for them.
That's good.
In France, entrepreneurs are seizing the chance in CBD. Stuff is moving fast there. There's a big crackdown on regular cannabis products with THC. But the market there for CBD is moving fast. People are buying the shops. You could pick your own buds out. I don't know what they got against THC there, but I mean that's kind of cool. They're starting with CBD. I mean, there's cool little shops going over there where you can just go in and there's big jars filled and they pull them out for you. So good for you, France. Mexico's medical cannabis program offers firms a chance to enter new adult use industry. So it looks like here that Mexico wants to be saying they're going to be the largest cannabis just producer, user, money in the world, preparing for the future that's going to be coming in April with that vote and getting it recreational there.
Growing it. Their land is like perfect for
it. High sativa, high energy strains in Mexico. So good for Mexico. Australia to significantly reduce regulatory burden for cannabis industry. That's cool. Good for you, our friends down under. Australia has proposed amendments to the Narcotic Drugs Act that would overhaul the medical cannabis industry by streamlining the licensing process for businesses and ensure access for patients. Ryan's Cohen, editor at the large for the Australian Publican Cannabis, said the measures will allow companies to operate more efficiently and flexible and fully implemented. That's cool. So they're going to consolidate the license structure into a single license, replacing the current 3 permits, implement a perpetual license framework where validity periods will no longer be specified, and reaffirm the Australian government's commitment to patient access of medical cannabis products. That's cool. Good for you, Australia. Hopefully, like we talk about you guys, because you guys are great down there, that you get it wreck. Canada's got some great stuff going on during the pandemic. They bunch of little tube system, pneumonic tube systems for their indie pot shops are opening all in the pandemic right now there. So good for you, Canada, keeping some stuff going up there. You guys the whole country is legal, man. But these shops are giving people opportunity for online sales, for pickups, and making it streamlined right now for people to get their cannabis in Canada a little bit quicker. So good for you, Canada. A friend of mine reached out to me about Delta 8. And we've had Orgo Labs on the show, and we asked Tim about Delta 8. And it's a fairly new cannabinoid that's been discovered. It's now you can buy it. I don't know if it's legal or illegal because there's nothing about it, but you can buy it online. Still haven't tried it. I know not just the one friend that reached out, but a few other people that are buying Delta 8 online or from stores, and they really, really, really like it. So here's my thing. I found out, though, through testing, not myself, but through testing from a lab, that a lot of the Delta 8 products have some form of Delta 9 THC in there. It could be, and as we know, hemp, you have to have 0.3% of THC in that product for it to be legal. Okay? So, but they're finding it's been anywhere between 3% to 7, 8, 9, 10, 11%. Now, here's the thing. If you are smoking Delta 8 because it doesn't show up on a drug test, and most drug tests will detect the products of Delta 8 if they're looking for it, but they're looking for Delta 9. So you see, they can find Delta 8, but it's not illegal right now. But if there is Delta 9 in that cartridge with the Delta 8 and you go get drug tested, it's going to pop up.
So Delta 8 and Delta 9 are essentially being sold alongside CBD.
Yes.
It's not being sold in dispensaries. It's being sold in head shops, gas stations, cigar shops.
Yes.
Okay.
Online. Just like you can get.
And 9 that is already on the radar. They like.
Well,
it's okay. It's acceptable. It's
9?
less than. It's yeah.
No, 9 is what we're smoking right now.
Oh. So then it's not in vape shops.
No.
9.
No, we're talking about 8.
Just 8 and CBD are being sold.
But they're finding in some of those Delta 8 cartridges, there's high levels of THC in them. THC Delta 9, which can come up on a drug test that still today that a lot of jobs don't let you smoke cannabis.
So when we're talking about cannabis, not hemp, not CBD, when we're talking about cannabis, THC, right, over 0.3%, right? All of that cannabis has Delta 9 in it.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Now, there might be some other cannabinoids in there. Like there could be CBN.
No, just keep it simple.
Just, okay.
It all has
Delta 9.
Delta 9.
THC Delta 9.
And then CBD, which is the hemp plant.
Yes.
And it cannot have more than 0.3% THC.
No, right.
Right?
Delta 9.
That's right. Hemp plant with less than 0.3% Delta 9. THC, right? But now there's Delta 8. And Delta 8 is sold side by side with CBD products.
Correct.
But they're finding it has more Delta 9 than CBD.
No, it just doesn't have it's finding over the legal limit.
Right, over 0.3%.
Right. It still has maybe 20% CBD, but they're finding 6, 7%.
Right. So it shouldn't technically be sold in a head shop.
Not at all. But these head shops don't know it.
They don't know it.
So the cannabinoid Delta 8 is a more body high, less psychoactive. There's still a little bit to it. The stuff I'm reading about, and we're having Tim, and we've talked about in prior episodes, and people like it. So, but you have to be careful taking this product because you don't know what's in it.
Or like when you buy CBD in a vape shop or wherever you buy CBD products, CBD shop, is that all? There's no synthetic CBDs.
No.
CBD is a plant. It's all plant. It has to be
You don't know where it's coming from.
But it's a plant.
Right.
It's not synthetic.
Right.
And so same with the Delta 8 that's now out.
And I know a lot of people that go to the head shops and buy the CBD and they love it. I mean, I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know what's in it, but some people say they like it. It could be THC in there too, in the flower that you're getting CBD.
Right.
You don't know. They're supposed to get it tested. Some do, some don't. I'm just saying, if you smoke it, be careful, because you might come up on a drug test if you have to take a drug test.
Right.
So just be careful.
Was that the big point we were trying to make?
Kind of. But also trying
I
to
know.
maybe help people understand what Delta 8, what Delta 9, what CBD. We've talked about cannabinoids on the show, but just in case if you want to, it's still confusing to a lot of people.
Because
some
people,
people
that helped. I was confused.
Good. I could teach still. Here's something that Mrs. WeedMan and I have done, and she has a lot more than I do, and that's life insurance.
Wait, I'm worth more dead than you are. Let's get that straight. But that's okay. I'm all right.
I said it right. I said you have a lot more than me.
Yeah, I'm worth a lot more than you. Dead. But I'm not dying.
But you're worth a lot more to me alive.
Oh, that's so sweet. Good save. So
for all you men out there, learn the quick save in a beauty.
That was a good one.
It was a good one.
That was good. Yep. So the big question is life insurance. What if you have a tendency or predisposition to enjoy cannabis? Well, do you think you can still get insured? Well, the short answer is yes. But As it becomes increasingly legal, cannabis can still raise red flags for life insurance companies. While some insurers don't mind covering you, others will charge you higher rates or deny your application outright. About 22.2 million Americans use cannabis every month, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. It's now legal for medical use in 36 states and recreational use in 15. If you're one of the millions of Americans who use cannabis and you're looking for a life insurance policy, you can probably find coverage, but you'll have to shop around because not all companies view the risk that cannabis use poses to long-term health in the same way. Life insurance may not cost more for some cannabis users than those who don't use it at all, depending on the insurance company and other factors. Every insurer measures risk differently. Most consider factors like age, gender, weight, and family history. Some may look at your hobbies, such as mountain climbing or skydiving. And they may look at your history of drug use, whether cannabis or otherwise. That could definitely come into play. If you use cannabis, companies will likely consider how often and why you use it, according to Quotacy, a Minneapolis-based life insurance brokerage. If there's a medical reason, the insurer will want to know about the condition you're treating. Because each company has different standards, you may need to research several insurers before you find the one that's willing to cover you at a reasonable price. You can also work with a life insurance broker or agent who has experience with cannabis use and can help shop the market for you. When applying for coverage, you'll have to answer questions about your lifestyle and in many cases take a life insurance medical exam that may include drug testing. Keep in mind, if the application process includes a blood test, your cannabis usage might turn up in the results, said Adam Weinberg, director for Haven Life Insurance. Be sure to tell the truth about your use before taking your test. Lying on a life insurance application can result in an automatic decline for coverage. You also run the risk of your insurer refusing to pay your death benefit to your loved ones if they find out later that you lied on your application. When you apply for life insurance as a cannabis user, there are 3 potential outcomes. You get declined outright, you get approved at a tobacco rate, even if you don't use tobacco, or you're approved at a non-tobacco rate. While some studies have shown cannabis to be less harmful to the lungs than tobacco smoke, smoking is still smoking, meaning it's less healthy than not smoking at all. Even if you don't smoke, but choose to vape or enjoy your weed by eating it, the jury is still out about how bad it is for you long term. We don't have a crystal clear vision of cannabis use and how it affects.
Those life insurance
Yeah.
companies should want people on cannabis and let it, because no one's ever died on cannabis. No one's ever died.
They don't want people on it, but it shouldn't be an issue.
No, they live forever. So that means they don't have to pay the life insurance policy out.
Don't live forever because you consume cannabis.
That's true. I'm going to live forever. I am, just me, because I
you.
smoke cannabis.
I think it would be kind of
I
boring.
can't say anybody else is going to live
Imagine
forever.
living forever.
Because if they died tomorrow, then I'm a liar. So I'm not a liar, so I'm going to live forever. If you want to live forever, that's your own
get to
choice.
heaven at some point.
Me too, but Stairway to Heaven, smoking a big fat joint.
I don't know. Well, so, yeah, you can use it, whatever. There's no crystal clear vision of how cannabis affects your mortality because it's been illegal and people don't generally admit that they use it. So it's just been challenging, says Jeremy Hallett, the CEO of Quotacy. When insurers decide whether to sell you a policy and how much to charge you, they generally don't consider whether cannabis is illegal or where you live or not. But they do pay attention to how often you indulge. Occasional use of pot may not affect your rate much, if at all, while more frequent use can lead to higher premiums or even denial. Chris Abrams of Cannabis Life Insurance, an independent agency in San Diego, provided sample rates to show how typical cannabis habits can affect monthly insurance premiums. Abrams' hypothetical applicant is a 30-year-old male in excellent health applying for a $500,000 30-year term life policy. So here's the scenarios. If he never uses cannabis, it'll cost him $30 a month. If he smokes twice a year, $31 a month. Once or twice a week, goes up to $55 a month. 2 or 3 times a week goes up to $62. 4 times a week, $126. And if he smokes 6 times a week, he's paying $166 a month.
You know what I pay?
Quadruples.
Oh,
But
is that the coverage for his life insurance policy?
that's for his policy. That's how it. So if he never, I mean, why wouldn't you just say I smoke twice a year, and then when your drug test comes back positive, you're like, yeah, I just smoked yesterday.
True.
I get to smoke one more time this year.
Yeah. Smart.
You
Smart.
caught me.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, why not?
You're
Pay
not
$31 bucks
You're
a
not
year.
supposed to lie on a life insurance
No,
policy.
because then later, because they just said, they covered their butt in this article. They're like, because if you do that, they can then cancel you for lying. Whatever. So the breaking point appears to be smoking more than 6 times a week. So don't do that. Very few insurance carriers will offer standard non-tobacco rates to daily cannabis users, according to Hallett. For most companies, Abrams says, daily use is a hard no. Not happening. No. If you already have life insurance and you decide to give cannabis a try, don't worry. It won't affect your existing policy. Once you've gone through the underwriting, at a point in time for your insurance, that is your rate. The carrier can't come back and raise your rates. So you're good to go.
Nice.
That's kind of weird, but whatever.
Hey, I passed my blood test.
We got it. We got ours.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird? You get to this
I don't
point
think they
in life.
tested for it, though.
I don't know what they tested
didn't think
for. Oh,
anything
no, we
came
got
out.
all those test results back.
Yeah, but I didn't see anything about cannabis on there.
Maybe we weren't looking at the time.
Maybe we didn't care.
It's just a weird place to be, like that. When you get to that age where you start considering life insurance, and then you're like, oh, we're really we are adults.
You are worth more than me,
Dead.
Dead.
I'll outlive you.
I know you will.
Nah.
Wu-Tang's
I don't
Raekwon.
know.
Wu-Tang's Raekwon. Wu-Tang forever. Wu-Tang for life. We'll pay you to grow.
That was a fun concert.
With Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah.
So long ago. We'll pay you to grow cannabis at home using citizen-grown grow boxes. This is a crazy, crazy thing. He's going to pay people. He's become a major investor in a cannabis startup, but unlike other celebrity-endorsed cannabis companies, the startup wants to pay people to grow weed rather than just selling it to them. Citizen Grown follows through on its motto of cannabis for the people, by the people, by putting cultivation in the hands of individuals. Man, I like that. Mm-hmm. The business eventually plans to provide automated hydroponic grow boxes to anyone living in the state where home cultivation is legal. The company will pay people for their use of their space and will control nearly every aspect of the grow boxes remotely, allowing them to grow pot at home with little effort. Interesting. It's like a universal income proposal, Raekwon told Forbes. Since most of the work is handled by the company itself, the company is essentially offering a source of passive income to anyone who has the space to host one of their boxes. The company hopes that these tools will help lower income communities participate in the cannabis marketplace, which is currently dominated by wealthy white investors. We wondered what if our technology is the way to spread the wealth in the industry, said Citizen Grown CEO Deepa Sood told Forbes. Use our boxes, cultivate top-shelf cannabis, and marry profit with purpose. In a situation where the economy is being tarnished, people are losing jobs. Citizen Grown offers a way out, says Raekwon. We tell people we haven't forgotten about them. Now you've got the average person that really didn't think they could do something, feeling with the can edge because there's a lot of there's a door for them, and that's what I love. To give it back is the most precious gift. I think it's a good idea. I think it's great. I don't know how they're making a profit though, at all.
Yeah.
Do you have to? So. The company has already kicked off the first venture, a 13,500 square foot cannabis cultivation and tissue culture lab based in Oklahoma. Oklahoma is going to be big for cannabis. 2,000 dispensaries go open there. Smart move. The profits of the facility are being used to develop prototypes for automated hydroponic grow boxes that are designed to work even in small apartments. Citizen Grown is also offering educational opportunities to help individuals living in lower-income, marginalized communities. This is pretty much a school that allows us to help people, teach them what cannabis is all about, and make sure at the end of the day you're in charge of what you and you understand what you're using for, explained Raekwon. Anytime you come back to the neighborhood and you want to see great things for our community, whatever you want to do, however you want to express yourself, will empower you creatively, financially. That's what Citizen Grow represents.
That sounds really cool.
I think it sounds
it's a
great.
nonprofit.
It's a nonprofit?
It's a corporation that formed a nonprofit to put these boxes in people's homes in lower income communities so it could subsidize their incomes.
Well, I think it's great because you if they're going to handle everything computerly, all you have to do is set it and forget it.
Computerly.
You like that?
I like that.
Thank you. I'm trying to be nice.
It was cute.
But if they're going to handle everything and all you have to do is plug it in and give it Wi-Fi so they can, or whatever, that's up to you. I don't know. Some people feel weird about giving an outer company your Wi-Fi, but everybody has access to your shit anyway. So, but it'll teach you how to grow cannabis because there's educational purposes to it. If you want to get in the cannabis industry, they're going to pay you to do it, and it's free. All you have to do is set it and forget it and learn how to use it. I think it's a win-win for people wanting to get into cannabis. Plus, if you get to keep the weed, which it doesn't say that you don't.
No, you're selling it to subsidize your income.
Oh, you're selling it.
Yes.
But how could you sell it? It's illegal to sell it unless you have.
I think we need to start that article.
No, it doesn't say
totally
anything. Doesn't say anything about selling it. You might have heard.
I have to tell you, this weed does make my brain a little foggy.
That's good.
I'm struggling.
You want to go to sleepy sleep. That's why.
No, I'm not tired at all. I just keep spacing out.
It's really good.
And then I don't realize it until it's too late.
So I think it's cool. I wonder how it's all going to pan out in the long term. But good for him to try to help out people learn how to grow cannabis. And like I said, if you get to keep it, you smoke it, and you got yourself a plant that can grow you up to, a few ounces, and you're just going to turn and burn it. Good for them. Marshawn Lynch, I'm just here because I don't want to get fined. Seattle Seahawks running back that said that line because he had to go to the press conference, and he hates doing press conferences. And so he would say every time they ask him a question, I'm just here because I don't want to get fined.
And he wouldn't answer their questions?
That's all. That's how he answered.
Whoa.
Every time. It was great. One of the greatest things I've ever seen. Yes.
I would like to do that.
Yes. So he had to show up. He did, but he didn't have to answer questions.
Right.
He just,
I'm just
so
here.
He's got a premium cannabis company featuring diamond-infused blunts. Diamond-infused blunts. I don't know. 24-karat diamond-infused blunts. He's a legend in the NFL, one of the greatest running backs ever. I didn't know you could smoke diamonds. Forever.
You can smoke diamonds?
Diamonds.
Powder.
Probably.
That would just be lead. They probably shouldn't smoke that. Or is it carbon?
Carbon, you're good. It's going to make the experience better.
Okay.
One of my favorite hip-hop artists, rappers, Ice Cube, launched his own line of Wiley Potent Cannabis. So he's singing "Today is a Good Day." So the rapper's Friday Kush, Fryday, Kush strains is not for novice smokers. He's claiming it's all the way up to like 41% THC. It's going to knock you out. So, damn kind of thing. But 46% THC. But he has some CBD in there too also. So that'll actually kind of mild you down a little bit. It won't make you whoop, whoop, whoop. For reference, the average strength of a premium cannabis flower floats between 20 and 25%, which makes Friday's Kush almost exclusively for those with a high tolerance. Novice smokers need not apply. Friday Kush is currently available for purchase at dispensaries in Arizona, California, and Nevada.
That would be
Oklahoma.
Like a bad experience for a young user to smoke that.
Yeah, and I mean, you got Jay-Z.
I mean, young in like your frequency of ever smoking.
Yes, yeah. Just don't do it because it's. Ice Cube is even saying this. It's
gonna knock you on your
it's
butt.
not for the newbie. It's not for the novice smoker. This is for people that have been smoking 20, 30 years, cancer patient that needs this. It's not gonna be cheap either. I mean, it's gonna be expensive. I mean, also Jay-Z, his line is launching too. So you got all these rappers and hip hop artists and people just getting in the game and making some fire shit. So that's way above my pay grade though, smoking that. So, and I'm an everyday smoker. So, but just not my type of. No. I don't even know. I would want to know though. I'd probably try it once. But I would also like to know, because of the CBDs in there, so but also what the terpene content is also, so I know what I'm getting myself into. Is it going to like knock me out, or is it going to get me while I'm going to do laps? I'd hit it twice. not like
once.
Not back to back.
And then you'd
though.
say I'm way too high, and then you'd go hit it again.
Right, of course, because I'm an idiot. But I would let it go around the table, take my puff, let it go around the table, probably pass. So I wouldn't puff, pass. I would just pass. And then I let it come around again, then I hit it again.
If that was a high sativa strain, you'd be taking an Uber home. That is like the danger zone.
Everybody
for Mr.
knows.
Weedman.
Everybody knows Mrs. Weedman does not like
Oh.
Mr. Weedman on sativa.
Whoa. And that's where the whole like indica sativa, there is a difference. And a high indica
It's
strain
what's in that sativa strain.
and a constant, I'm not high enough. I'm not high. And going back and hitting whatever it is again, 2 joints later.
Very true.
And then he's a total spaz. Oh my God.
To you.
He doesn't want to fight anybody, but the look in his eye looks like he wants to fight everybody.
I just
He
have
gets
a good,
really
I'm
intense.
I'm just here to have a good time.
Yeah. You get crazy.
I think I'm having fun. Maybe
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just me. Now you all know why. I don't know if you've ever heard Mrs. Weedman tell you why she doesn't like me on certain sativa
Oh
strains.
boy.
Now you know why.
Yeah,
I've
that's
tried to
it.
explain it. People.
So everybody, give weed a chance. Because there is a strain for you and there's a strain that's not for you. So if you happen to have that one that's not for you a handful of times and you're like, oh, that stuff is stupid, I hate it. Give
We
weed,
found
give
strains
weed a
that-
chance because there's some other strain out there that you could fall in love with.
We've found strains
Totally.
that you like me on
Yeah.
a lot.
It
You
just-
like to have me around.
Yeah. Yeah. Just anything non-high sativa. That's like the danger zone. The kids will even be like, "Oh shit, here we go."
Like Mrs. Weedman said, give weed a chance. Just explore it, have fun with it. You might love your wife on a strain, or your significant other. She or he might hate you on that strain and might not talk to you for a couple of days. But apologize and say we're going to give it another chance, and we're going to try something different.
Yeah, or just if you have your own personal experience that
Yeah, because you might find a strain
doesn't
that
work.
You might find a strain that 2 of you enjoy each other on,
Yeah.
in more than ways than one.
Yep.
You know, it could bring you closer. I think
Could
weed.
be.
I think weed has brought us a hell of a lot closer. We come down here and we smoke, and we have some real good conversations. Sometimes with ourselves, but we have some good conversations.
We forget we're talking to each other, and then we're like talking to ourselves out loud. Wait, what? What'd you
shit.
say? Oh, I forgot you were here.
I know. Man, great stuff. I want to thank everybody for listening. Mrs. Weedman,
Yeah,
you got anything else to say?
we got a shit ton of snow.
Yeah.
And I'm currently looking at the window behind Mr. Weedman's head, and you can't see out of the entire window. It's covered. So, yeah, for all of you who aren't in these wonderful winter weather wonderland days, if you have sand beneath your toes and an ocean over your shoulder, then, well, I don't know, save us a spot. We can't wait to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this snow's not going away anytime soon. It's going to be cold for a hot minute here. So this snow will probably be here till like late March. There's piles. I mean,
It is so pretty, though. I couldn't stop looking out the window today. Oh, pretty. So,
well,
yep.
once again, thank you all for listening. We love you. We appreciate you all out there. Keep on banging those blunts and smokes away. Keep on growing. Free this plant. We love you all. As Paulie always says, smoke smart, puff puffing away.
Puff, puff, pass.